At my birthday, my girlfriend toasted, "He's not my future, a phase I'm growing out of." Everyone laughed. I blew out the candles, cut her off financially, moved on, and the next time she saw me was in a photo announcing my engagement to the woman she envied most. I, 31, male, stood at the head of a private dining room I'd reserved and paid for, watching my girlfriend of 3 years raise her champagne glass. The room went quiet. Colleagues, friends, even the restaurant staff near the door paused. Frances, 29, smiled at the crowd with that practiced brightness she used for photos, then turned to me. "To Brian," she said, voice carrying across white tablecloths and flickering candles. "He's not my future, just a phase I'm growing out of." The room fractured into awkward laughter. Half the guests looked at their plates. The other half glanced at me, waiting for my reaction. I smiled, leaned forward, and blew out the candles on the cake I'd paid $300 for. The applause was thin, uncomfortable. Frances set her glass down, still grinning like she'd delivered the joke of the year. I cut the cake, handed out slices, made small talk about the engineering project I was leading. At some point, my colleague Beverly caught my eye from across the room. She didn't laugh. She looked concerned. 2 days later, Frances's credit card declined at a boutique. Her car insurance lapsed mid-month. The apartment lease she thought we shared? Her name vanished from it in 72 hours. I changed the locks, boxed her things, and had them delivered to her sister's place with a receipt showing the courier fee. Then I blocked her number, her socials, her email. No conversation. No explanation. Just silence. 6 months after that, she opened Instagram and saw my engagement photo. Beverly and I, standing on a balcony in Greece, sunlight catching the ring on her finger. The woman Frances had spent 3 years making snide comments about. The woman she'd called boring and too serious. Frances showed up at my office the next morning, mascara smudged, demanding to know when I'd started lying to her. I handed her a folder. Inside were screenshots, dates, and bank statements. 3 years of me paying for dinners while she texted other men. Receipts from trips I funded while she told friends I was temporary. Even a voice memo she'd sent her sister 6 months before the birthday, saying she was keeping Brian around until someone better showed up. The birthday toast wasn't the betrayal. It was just the only one she made in front of witnesses. I met Frances in late 2021 at a mutual friend's rooftop gathering. She worked as a yoga instructor at a high-end studio downtown. She was charming, quick to laugh, and made me feel like the most interesting person in the room. We started dating a week later. The first 6 months felt easy. She'd come to my apartment after her evening classes, cook dinner with ingredients I bought, talk about opening her own wellness studio someday. I didn't mind covering expenses. I was a senior civil engineer pulling in a solid 6-figure salary. She was building a career in a competitive field. It felt like partnership. But small things started surfacing. She'd mention an ex-boyfriend who almost proposed, but wasn't financially stable enough. She'd compare me to a friend's partner who worked in finance, saying things like, "Well, Brian is stable, at least." Stable. Like I was a savings account, not a person. By the end of year 1, I was paying her half of the rent. Not because she couldn't afford it, but because her studio wanted her to take unpaid training courses. I believed her. I transferred $1,500 every month. She thanked me with kisses and promises that it was temporary. Year 2 brought more. Her car needed repairs for $1,000 worth. Her student loans spiked. Her sister's wedding required a destination trip to Cancun, and Frances didn't want to go alone, so I paid for both our flights and the resort stay. $12,000 for that week. She posted photos of us on the beach with captions like, "Grateful for this guy," but in private, she'd joke to her friends that I was a safe bet. I found that out later. At the time, I only saw the way she'd pull away when I suggested moving in together officially, or how she'd change the subject when I talked about long-term plans. She'd say things like, "Let's just enjoy the now, babe." Her phone habits shifted. She'd angle the screen away from me. She'd step into the bathroom to take calls. Once, I asked who she was texting at 2 in the morning. She laughed it off, said it was her sister. The next morning, I saw a notification flash while she was in the shower. A name I didn't recognize. A message that started with, "Last night was fun." I didn't confront her. I filed it away, a small crack in the story she was selling me. By year 3, I was exhausted. I'd paid for 2 vacations, her portion of rent for 30 months, a car repair, half her insurance, dinners 3 times a week, and gifts for every birthday and holiday. I added it up once. $73,000. But I stayed. Because ending it felt harder than continuing. Because I kept thinking maybe the next month would shift things back. Then my birthday came around. March 17th. I turned 31 and decided to make it a proper celebration. I booked a private room at a restaurant I loved, invited 15 people, ordered a custom cake, paid for an open bar. Frances helped me pick the menu. She even suggested the champagne toast. I thought she meant a toast to us. I was wrong. 3 weeks before my birthday, Frances started acting different. Not distant exactly, more performative. She'd post photos of us with captions like, "My rock," but in person, she'd scroll through her phone while I talked. One night, I came home early from a site inspection and found her on my couch, FaceTiming someone. She ended the call the second I walked in, said it was a client asking about private sessions. But her face was flushed, and she wouldn't look at me. "Who was that?" I asked. "I told you. A client. At 8 p.m. on a Wednesday." She stood, grabbed her water bottle. "Some people have weird schedules, Brian. Not everyone works 9 to 5 like you." It was the tone that stuck with me. Dismissive. Like I was paranoid for asking. 2 weeks before the party, we went to dinner with Beverly and her partner, Patrick. Beverly was a structural analyst on my team, someone I respected. Frances spent the entire meal making passive-aggressive digs. When Beverly mentioned a project she'd just finished, Frances said, "Must be nice to have a job where you just sit at a desk all day." When Beverly complimented Frances's outfit, Frances responded with, "Thanks. I actually have to put effort into how I look for work." Beverly didn't react, just smiled politely, but I saw the discomfort in her eyes. Later, in the car, I asked Frances why she'd been so cold. "I wasn't cold," she said. "I just don't get why you're always talking about her. Beverly this, Beverly that. She's my colleague." "Right? Colleague." She turned to me. "She's into you, you know." I didn't respond. Because even if it were true, which I doubted, it didn't matter. I was with Frances. I'd built my life around her, funded her dreams, waited for her to be ready. The week of my birthday, Frances asked if I'd invited Beverly. I said yes, along with the rest of my team. She went quiet, then said, "Fine. Just don't spend the whole night talking to her." The day before the party, Frances came over with a garment bag. Inside was a new dress, black and fitted, price tag still attached. $460. She saw me glance at the tag and said, "I used my own money, don't worry." But I'd seen her bank statements 2 months earlier when helping her set up autopay. Balance, $300. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and went back to confirming the reservation. That night, lying in bed, I thought about the past 3 years. Not just the money. The way she'd made me feel like I was lucky to have her. Like I should be grateful she was sticking around. Like I was the placeholder while she waited for something better. The thought didn't make me angry. It made me calm. Clear. March 17th arrived warm and clear. I spent the morning on a site visit, then headed home to change. Frances met me at the restaurant an hour before guests arrived. She looked stunning in the black dress. She kissed me on the cheek and said, "This is going to be great." The guests filtered in. My team from work, college friends, Frances's sister, and her husband. Beverly arrived with Patrick, both smiling. Frances watched them walk in, jaw tight. Dinner went smoothly. Appetizers, entrees, wine. People laughed, told stories. I felt good. Present. Then dessert arrived. A 3-layer chocolate cake with "Happy Birthday, Brian" in gold icing. The server placed it in front of me, lit the candles. The room quieted. Frances stood. She had a champagne flute in her hand. She tapped the rim with her fork, and the chatter died. "I just want to say a few words," she began. "Brian and I have been together for 3 years now. 3 years of ups and downs, growth, learning." She paused, looked at me. "But if I'm being honest, and I think honesty is important, Brian has been more of a phase for me than a partner." A few people shifted in their seats. I stayed still. "He's stable, reliable, the kind of guy you date when you're figuring things out. But he's not my future. He's not the person I see myself with long term. He's just a phase I'm growing out of." She raised her glass. "So here's to Brian. And to growth." The silence lasted 3 seconds. Then someone started a weak clap. A few people joined. Most didn't. Frances sat down, still smiling. I leaned forward, blew out the candles. The room erupted into applause, louder this time. relieved to move past the awkwardness. I stood, grabbed the cake knife. "Thanks, everyone, for coming," I said. My voice was steady. "Let's eat." I cut the cake, handed out slices. Beverly approached me near the dessert table. "Brian, are you okay?" she asked quietly. "I'm fine," I said. And I was. I'd never felt more certain of anything. Frances left early, claiming she had a 6 a.m. class. She kissed me goodbye in front of everyone, whispered, "That was fun, wasn't it?" and walked out. I stayed until the last guest left. Paid the bill, $1,500. Drove home in silence. When I got to my apartment, I sat on the couch and opened my laptop. I pulled up the lease agreement. Frances's name was listed as an authorized occupant, not a co-tenant. I drafted an email to my landlord, requesting her removal, effective immediately. Sent it at 11:42 p.m. Then I logged into my credit card account. Frances had a card linked to mine. I canceled it. The website confirmed deactivation within 24 hours. Next, I called my insurance company's automated line. Removed her from my car insurance policy. Change effective at midnight. I didn't feel angry. I felt like someone who'd finally stopped pretending. At 1 a.m., I texted my brother, a family lawyer. Told him I needed advice on clean financial separation. He called back immediately. We talked for an hour. He told me to document everything, avoid verbal confrontations. Let the paper do the talking, he said. I hung up, opened a new folder on my desktop, labeled it Frances. Then I went to bed. Update 1. Saturday morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls from Frances. No voicemails. I didn't call back. Instead, I spent the morning organizing receipts. Every dinner, every trip, every Venmo transfer for her rent. I pulled bank statements going back 3 years, highlighted every transaction. The total, $73,812. I compiled it into a spreadsheet. Date, description, amount. I added a notes column. Cancun trip. She said it was for her sister's wedding. Car repair. She promised to pay me back. Rent, months 18 to 36. I printed 2 copies. One for me, one for my brother. Emailed him the file. At noon, Frances called again. I let it ring. By 2 p.m., I'd packed her things. Clothes, toiletries, books. I used boxes from a recent furniture delivery, labeled each with black marker. Called a courier service. Paid for same-day delivery to her sister's address. $340. Added it to the spreadsheet. At 4 p.m., I changed the locks. My landlord had already approved Frances's removal that morning. Hired a locksmith, paid cash. Done in 30 minutes. At 6 p.m., Frances started texting. "Why is my card not working? Brian, what's going on? My insurance company called. They said I'm not covered anymore. Did you forget to pay?" I didn't respond. I blocked her number, then blocked her on every social media platform. Deleted her contact. Sunday morning, her sister called. I let it go to voicemail. The message was heated. "What the hell did you do to Frances? She's a mess. Call her back." I didn't call back. I sent a single text to her sister. Frances's belongings were delivered yesterday. She is no longer on my lease or insurance. I'm moving forward. Please do not contact me again. Then I blocked her sister's number. Monday, I went to work like nothing had happened. Beverly pulled me aside during lunch. "You seem different," she said. "Lighter." "I am," I said. And I meant it. That week, Frances tried to reach me through mutual friends. 2 texted, asking what happened. I replied to both. We're no longer together. I'd prefer not to discuss it. One pushed back, said Frances was devastated, that I should at least talk to her. I didn't reply. The other, a college friend named Bradley, called me. "Man, she's saying you just ghosted her. That's cold. She's free to say whatever she wants." I told him. "I know what happened." "What did happen?" "Ask her about the birthday toast." He went quiet. "Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Then you understand." I hung up. I didn't feel the need to defend myself. The people who mattered had been in that room. They'd heard exactly what she said. Update 2. 3 weeks after my birthday, Frances showed up at my apartment building. The doorman called me. "There's a woman here asking for you. Says her name is Frances. Tell her I'm not available," I said, "and that she's not authorized to come up." "Understood, sir." 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A new number. "Brian, it's me." Her voice was raw. "Please, I need to talk to you." "No, you can't just cut me off like this. 3 years, and you just disappear? You made it clear I was a phase. Phases end." "I didn't mean it like that. I was joking." Jokes are funny. No one laughed. I know I screwed up, but we can fix this. There's nothing to fix. You're being cruel. I'm being clear. We're done. Don't contact me again. I hung up, blocked the number. That night, she posted on Instagram a long caption about betrayal, about how people show their true colors when things get hard. She didn't name me, but the subtext was obvious. Beverly texted me a screenshot. This you? Yeah. Want to talk about it? Not really. But thanks. She replied with a thumbs up. No prying. No judgment. A week later, Francis's sister called my brother. He forwarded me the voicemail. She was threatening to sue me for financial abuse, claiming I'd trapped Francis in a dependent relationship. My brother laughed. She doesn't have a case, he said. You were dating, not married. You don't owe her anything. Should I respond? No. Let her lawyer up if she wants. She never did. By mid-April, Francis had moved back in with her sister. I heard through Bradley. She'd quit her yoga job, was struggling, had started seeing a therapist. I felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction. Just relief. Around the same time, Beverly and I started having coffee together. Not dates, just coffee. We'd talk about work, about projects, about life. She didn't ask about Francis. It was easy, comfortable. One afternoon, Beverly mentioned she was going to Greece in the summer. A solo trip. Sounds amazing, I said. You should come, she said. Then she paused. Sorry, that was forward. It wasn't. I'd like that. She smiled. Okay then. We booked tickets 2 weeks later. Update 3. Greece was different. Beverly was different. She didn't need me to fund her dreams or validate her choices. She had her own career, her own money, her own plans. We split every cost down the middle. She insisted. Partners, she said. Not sponsors. I like that. We spent a week in Santorini, then another in Athens. We explored ruins, ate fresh seafood, watched sunsets. We talked about everything. Our childhoods, our careers, our fears, our goals. She told me about the relationship she'd left 2 years ago, a guy who'd made her feel small. I told her about Francis, about the toast, about the 3 years I'd spent being someone's backup plan. You deserve better, she said. We were sitting on a hotel balcony, the Aegean stretching out in front of us. So do you, I said. She looked at me. I think we both found it. When we got back to the States in August, we made it official. No grand announcement, just a shift in how we introduced each other. This is Beverly, my girlfriend. This is Brian, my partner. Francis found out through Instagram. Beverly posted a photo of us at a rooftop bar, my arm around her shoulders. Francis sent me a message from a new account. Seriously? Her. I blocked the account without responding. By October, Beverly and I had moved in together. Her lease was ending, and I had space. It felt natural. She kept her own room for her work setup, her own accounts, her own independence. But we built something together. In November, I realized I wanted to marry her. I proposed on a cliffside in Crete during our second trip to Greece. We'd gone back for a long weekend. I had the ring in my jacket pocket, a simple platinum band with a small diamond. She said yes before I finished the question. We posted the photo a week later. Beverly's idea. If we're doing this, let's do it right. The photo was tasteful. Us on the balcony, the sunset behind us, her hand resting on my chest, the ring visible. The caption was simple. She said yes. It went up at 8 p.m. on a Friday. By 8:15, Francis had seen it. I know because she showed up at my office Monday morning. I was in a meeting when my assistant knocked. There's someone here to see you, she said. She's insistent. I stepped out. Francis was in the lobby, makeup smudged, hair pulled back. She looked thinner, tired. Brian, you need to leave. I need to talk to you. We have nothing to talk about. You're engaged? To her. Her voice cracked. After everything we had, we didn't have anything. You made that clear. I made a mistake. One stupid joke, and you threw away 3 years. It wasn't the joke. It was 3 years of you using me as a safety net while you looked for someone better. The joke was just the part you said out loud. That's not fair. Fair? You called me a phase in front of 15 people. You humiliated me at my own birthday party. You spent 3 years taking my money, my time, my energy, and giving me nothing but excuses. People were starting to stare. I loved you, she said, tears streaming. You loved what I provided. There's a difference. I turned to my assistant. Please call security. Francis's face twisted. You're really going to do this? You threw yourself out 8 months ago. This is just the confirmation. Security arrived. 2 guards, both professional. They escorted her to the elevator. She didn't resist, just cried. When the elevator doors closed, I went back to my office. Beverly was waiting. You okay? She asked. I'm perfect, I said. And I was. That afternoon, I did something I'd been holding on to. I opened the folder labeled Francis and compiled everything. The spreadsheet, the receipts, the screenshots, the bank statements. I printed it all, put it in a binder, and mailed it to her sister's address with a cover letter. The letter was short. Francis asked for an explanation. This is it. 3 years of financial support, itemized. $73,812. Every dinner, every trip, every bill. I paid because I thought we were building something. She took because she thought I was temporary. The birthday toast wasn't the betrayal. It was just the moment she admitted it out loud. I don't want apologies or repayment. I just want her to stop pretending I'm the villain. I sent it certified mail. She signed for it 3 days later. Beverly and I got married in the spring. Small ceremony, close friends, no drama. My brother officiated. We honeymooned in Iceland, the place Francis had always said was too cold and boring. It was perfect. 6 months into the marriage, I ran into Bradley at a coffee shop. He told me Francis had moved to another city, started fresh somewhere in the Midwest. She'd asked about me once, wanted to know if I was happy. What did you tell her? I asked. I told her you were married. Then I stopped answering her calls. Good. You really moved on, huh? I moved forward, I said. There's a difference. Because that's what it was. Not revenge, not bitterness. Just the calm decision to stop letting someone else define my worth. To stop funding someone else's comfort while they shopped for better options. Francis called me a phase. She was right. But I wasn't her phase. She was mine. A 3-year lesson in recognizing when you're someone's plan B. And now, I'm someone's plan A, Beverly's. My own. Some people spend their lives waiting for the person they're with to see their value. I stopped waiting. I walked away, built something real, and let the woman who thought I was temporary watch from the outside while I became permanent with someone who actually wanted me. The birthday candles I blew out that night, I made a wish. I wished for clarity, for the strength to stop pretending. 8 months later, that wish came true. Not with fireworks or drama, just with a locked door, a block number, and a life that finally felt like mine. Francis thought I'd come back. Thought I'd beg, apologize for being hurt. But you can't beg someone to see your worth when they've already decided you're not worth keeping. So I didn't beg. I built. And the life I built is better than any version she imagined for us. That's not revenge. That's just math. You subtract the people who subtract from you. What's left is what you deserved all along.